Hey, it's Dusty from the Plugged In Church, here to just give you a little rundown of what my keyboard rig is here at Quest of Vineyard Church in Westerville, Ohio. Alrighty, so first things first, we have a Chickering Baby Grand that I play from typically, and yes, that is a wedge monitor, even though I use in-ears. All you purists could make fun of me later, but the thing that makes this unique is that it has an old Baldwin Concertmaster player brain on it. You could tell it's old floppy drive, CD drive, etc. But it does have MIDI ins and outs on it, which makes it pretty unique and thus able to attach to my MacBook and run MainStage. And I'll show you that in just a second. But first, let's look inside, and I'll show you how I have the piano mic. All right, this is taking a little trick from what Eric Van Wagner told us on our miking episode back in the first part of 2014. But he recommended, if you don't have the cash for a big bridge mic, to put a nice condenser or even dynamic mic in on the harp and just hold it up with gaff tape. So I just have the sticky side down, and the gaff tape doesn't leave residue on the harp, so that's really nice. And it goes all the way across, another piece on top, and then I have a JM27 condenser in there. And you'll notice that I have it angled and favoring placement towards the lower octaves. So it's kind of pointing towards the upper octaves but closer to the lower, since it has kind of a sharper pattern that allows it to kind of grab hold of most of what's going on sonically inside the piano. You'll notice too that I took the music stand portion out of the piano. That's just so the mic fits in there properly and nothing knocks it down. And frankly, the lid needs to be pretty much all the way closed so you're not dealing with a whole bunch of stage volume. And this little roll of fabric tape, that's just to keep the lid from clamping down on the XLR cable. So from there, that runs straight out to the board. As you can see, we run Aviams and so on. And then from the brain, from the player brain, I just have a little M-Audio USB to MIDI interface right here that runs right into the machine. And from there, I just have an 1/8 inch to RCA cable that runs to a consumer to pro DI. And from that, it runs right back out to our front of house board. And I do have those mixed into separate channels, so the synth playback as well as the piano are in different channels. And then this doubles up, it makes it nice for rehearsal. That's the same channel that I run like regular CAN audio through if we're checking spots of recordings while we're working. The main thing that makes MainStage good for this, and if you ever wanted to try it, you could start with GarageBand, since if you have a Mac, that program's already on there. But the nice thing about MainStage is that you could limit the octaves of what each patch is playing to. So typically in the upper octaves, I don't like tons and tons of ambient synth because it just kind of gets real messy. But if you put it down at like middle C and below, it makes it sound nice and full. So you could hear a little bit of that on top of the piano. And then all of my synth stuff up in the upper octaves is just a lot thinner. And you could adjust individual volumes per patch on the little mixing window there on the right. So MainStage for that, totally worth like the 30-ish bucks for what's going on there. So again, we start at the piano, condenser mic right in there. Took a little note from Eric singing on a Beta 57 these days. Pulling it through, going to the MacBook, just a mid-2012 MacBook via USB interface. Then your standard 1/8 inch to RCA cable, Pro Consumer DI, all of that runs right back out to the board. And then again, I have it open just so you can see, but I keep that lid closed, and that really helps when you're running drums. And hey, look, there's intern Josiah. Hi, Josiah. We have, you know, the drums in a cage and so on, and this week we'll have a trumpet playing with us. And, you know, you still get some ambient stage volume, and this allows for the lid to be closed and to cut down on some of that. Also, too, we have our Clavinova, which is basically turned into a giant MIDI controller, and on the days that we do have two keyboard players, I kind of disconnect my synth runs and allow all that to be run from the Clav. But if you're just at the piano yourself or you only have one keyboard player, this is a really, really great way to go. And while we're here, I'll go ahead and give you my monitor rundown. So like I said, I do have a wedge. It's more of like the security blanket. It's pretty low volume, just there in case something goes wonky. But we do run Aviams here at Quest. And I just run, since I'm sitting at the piano, I just stay wired. There is a couple of Shure PSM systems here, but if I'm already sitting, if I'm already tethered, in my opinion, the audio still sounds better just going over the wire. So from the A16-2, I run out to the green Rev 33, and from the green Rev 33, I run my Westone AC2s. So these are in-ears that, as of right now, Eric and I both run, but they don't make that model anymore. Well, they're still good. I think they have a comparable model out. But that is basically my keyboard rig for each Sunday morning here at Quest. And that is it. Thanks for watching my keyboard rundown. We'll be back next week with a brand new episode of the Plugged In Church, episode 97. We're getting really, really close to episode 100. So make sure you tweet in your questions, any guests, any topics, any articles that you would like Eric and I to talk about, and we would love to get to those. And until then, power to your church.